Good afternoon. It is 5:30 on a Friday, and I am on time. T-I-M-E. Time. And if you were as cold as I was when I was outside, you would have been rushing to get inside as well. You know, it reminds me of the song about sunshine. I got sunshine on a cloudy day. And when it's cold outside, I've got the month of May to hope for and look forward to. But how are you? It is always a pleasure to be with you on a Friday at 5:30. And I want to thank you for listening and watching and being a part of the Chicago Access family and the network. It is cold, and when it's cold, you know, I try to stay inside as much as I can, and I read a lot. I believe in reading, and there are just a whole bunch of community newspapers. This is the Austin Weekly News, and the headlines say, poll shows Willie Wilson a strong mayoral contender. Then I'm looking at the Austin Voice. Loretta Hospital hosts 27th visit with Santa Claus. Also, Loretta Hospital has a brand new president, a young African-American gentleman, Mr. Miller, who have some tremendous ideas and lots of experience, and I am delighted as a resident of the Austin community to welcome him as the new president and CEO of Loretta Hospital. And I'm looking here at the Voice, Garfield Lundale. Happy New Year to the first New Year babies, which means that people are still producing and the world is going to keep going on because people continue to produce. And so a lot of good stuff is in that paper. I'm looking here at the Chicago Crusader. One of my favorite friends is the publisher, Miss Dorothy LaValle, who's not only the publisher of this paper, but she is also the president of the National Newspaper Publishers Association. And these are black-owned newspapers throughout America. I get an opportunity to interact with them quite frequently, especially when they're in Washington, D.C. They're doing things there, advocating and lobbying like other people do. And we've got also the Austin Voice that says Emma Mitch brings Santa and Christmas cheer to La Follette Park. Well, there are a lot of things to talk about. There are a lot of things to be happy about as we end the year and bring in the new year. If you would like to join me, you can always give us a call. And when you do, I'd love it if you could just talk about what you liked about 2017 and what you're looking forward to in 2018. I thank God that I am an optimistic person. And that is no matter how dark it is at night, I firmly believe that the sun is going to shine the next day. I firmly believe that joy cometh in the morning. And I also believe that no matter how difficult problems are, that if there were no problems, there wouldn't be anything to solve. I also believe that you can be on the bottom today and on top tomorrow. I believe in looking up rather than looking down. That's why I like that song that says, I believe for every drop of rain that falls, a flower grows. I believe that somewhere in the darkest part of the night, a candle glows. And so I'm full of hope and optimism. Today is my granddaughter's birthday, and I want to wish her a happy birthday. And if I was where she was at, I would actually sing to her, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Kalia. Happy birthday to you. How about that? But happy birthday. And happy birthday to everybody else who's got a birthday. You know, the thing that I like about the people that I work with, we anticipate things. It has been cold the last few days. And you may not believe it, but there are thousands of people in the Midwest who have no heat. There are people in Chicago whose gas is off for a lot of different reasons. Some of them are off because they just didn't have the money. Let me tell you, times can get so tough until finding money becomes like finding a needle in a haystack. But every year around this time, for the last several years, I've forgotten how many, we have something called a winter resource fair. We are going to do it this year in conjunction and cooperation with People's Gas Company, with Commonwealth Edison, and with CEDA, the agency that runs the Low Income Energy Assistance Program, where we get money from government, federal government, some state money, and we help people who are having difficulty with their utilities. I am so glad that I can say that I go back with the beginning of this program. And in the state of Illinois, the main proponents of it and the people who really pushed to start it were people in the community where I live, the South Austin Coalition Community Council, who pushed for the 12% program. And it was passed by the Illinois General Assembly during the time that Harold Washington was around. And actually John D. Arco Sr., Jr., I don't mean senior, no. John D. Arco Jr. sponsored it in the state Senate. It started in Ohio, and 12% it was called, meaning that as long as you paid 12% of your net income, utility companies could not turn your utilities off. And it has evolved into the LIHEAP program. Thousands of people benefit from it. But I'm telling you, we better watch out, because there are going to be efforts as soon as we go back to Washington in January to start reviewing what's called entitlement programs. And I think people are going to be trying to cut those programs. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute, but right now I want to go to the phone and see who we've got. Caller, are you there?
Yeah, how you doing, Kurt? First of all, I want to say Happy New Year to y'all. Connie Davis.
Yes, sir.
Now, Donald Trump about he's going to make America great. I don't think so. Because if he's trying to make America great, why don't he turn around, get the land back to Native Americans? I said that once before. If he want to make America great, why don't he give the land back to Native Americans? And also the media be saying that too.
Well, you know what Mr. Trump thinks is great may not be the same thing you think, James, is great.
Uh-huh.
And so you have your definition of what being great means for America. And Mr. Trump probably has his definition of what it means for America to be great. Now, when you say make America great, what do you want?
Okay, when he talk about America, he gonna make America great. Stop all the violence, stop all the stop all the violence, stop all the murder, stop all the killing, stop all the all this chaos. And he talk about he gonna make America great. I don't think so. If he was trying to make America great, why don't he turn around and get the land back to America? He gotta stop. Okay, all this violence is unnecessary.
So you want to see the killing go down, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you want to see for the new year?
Yeah. And I don't think he's gonna make America great. If he's trying to make America great, the man who's in charge is God.
Oh yeah, he's the man.
And then I don't think Donald Trump is gonna make America great. Because if he's trying to make America great, again, what do the media always put on TV? Violence after violence and Happy New Year. Every time when the New Year come in, violence. Every time when the New Year come in, you hear violence, somebody getting murdered and killed. Donald Trump ain't gonna try to make America great. God's in control.
All right, let me ask you one other question. You say violence is one thing you want to see stop during the new year. What else do you want to see happen during the new year?
Peace. Because God's Son, Jesus, died for everybody.
So you want to see peace, huh?
Yeah, because I don't think it's gonna happen, but God might end up putting a stop to it.
All right, you remember that song about peace? I'm so tired and so weary, but I must go along till the Lord calls and call me away. There will be peace in the valley someday.
Every time when Donald Trump always talk about he gonna make America great, I don't think so. I don't think so.
All right, well, thank you so much.
And happy New Year, coming day.
Happy New Year. You got any black-eyed peas for New Year's? Huh? Oh, I think James is gone. I wanted to know if he was going to have the traditional black-eyed peas for New Year's. I cooked Christmas Day, you know, and I tell you what I cooked. I heated up some greens, and I cooked some chicken wings, and I cooked some what is called hot water cornbread, and some okra to go along with the greens. And I must tell you, I had one fantastic meal. I ate as long as I could see. He's right on. Caller, are you there? Yes, caller, go right ahead.
Yes, I am. And happy holiday and a great, great New Year to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You spoke early about my good job with the city under Clarence Cash when you talked about the energy program.
Yeah, you know, Mr. Clarence Cash, before he got that job, he used to be an athletic coach and all. And he was a college coach. He was an athlete. To be so small,
yes,
you wouldn't have thought of him as a great football player. But he looked like he only weighed about 125 pounds.
Well, all our great leaders was immaculate, such as yourself. We had so many great and wonderful people back there in those days, and we was hard workers. We loved our job. We loved serving the people. And this is what we need to bring with the new year. We got to do better if we want to be better. And we're not doing our best. Stop all this hatred and start loving and working with each other.
Let me ask you, you worked in human services, right?
That's right. Human resource first.
And you enjoyed the work that you did, which means that you really treated people with dignity and respect, and you treated them like you wanted to help them. Is that correct?
That is absolutely right.
Yeah, I take the position that if you don't enjoy what you're doing, the prophet Gibran said that if you work at something you don't like, it's like baking a cake with bitterness.
Yes.
And the bitterness that you feel becomes a part, and it takes the sweetness out of the cake. And he also said that if you don't like what you're doing, it's better that you would sit by the gate and beg for alms and let somebody else have the job.
And see, and right along now, Congressman, we would be on duty for 24/7. We wouldn't be off.
Yep.
We were the background, the backups for everyone. Teachers, policemen, firemen, you name it. We did it because we cared. That's why this city at one time was great. And it's going to be great again because we better start working with our youth.
So that's your concept of greatness, right?
Yes.
It was during the Great Society era when the federal government had something called the War on Poverty.
That's right.
And money was sent down from the federal government to the city of Chicago to really try and help the individuals in need. And that was when we started to experience what government could do and what government could be. The two eras that I think were just fantastic, the New Deal is after the Great Depression in the 1930s, and Franklin Delano Roosevelt came up with the New Deal and created opportunities for people to work. And then we got the Great Society stuff coming after the Civil Rights Movement, Dr. Martin Luther King marching and demonstrating, and people, and Johnson and Kennedy, and I think it was a good era. And I hope we can retain some of those services.
And we will, as long as you stay in the place where you are and continue to fight, and we're going to fight along with you.
Well, thank you.
We're not giving up. We're not giving up.
All right.
For us to give up.
Well, I thank you so much, and it's a pleasure, and you have a wonderful, wonderful new year.
And thank you much.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. We'll go to our next caller. Caller, are you there?
I'm here. I'm right here. I'm never going to leave you, Mr. Davis.
All right. How are you?
I'm okay. Hey, let's get back to those poor homeless people.
Yep.
Okay. Let's get back to these homeless people over here.
We got to help them. I tell you, I've still got a few jackets in my car right now.
We don't need no jackets. They need a building, Mr. Davis.
They need a place to live.
They need a place to live. So
they sure do.
Start all over again.
They need housing. We need to develop.
Here, I hear all your little poems. Here. Wait, I hear all your little poems. Hear mine.
All right.
Here go mine. Okay? Out of the dirt comes a rose. Out of the dirt comes a rose. You understand? They fix this city, help these people get back up on their feet. We're going to be just fine. You You can't leave nobody cold out. You can't leave nobody hot. Take some of that. Listen, you a congressman for a reason. Am I right?
And if I can get 217 others to think like I do,
Yeah.
and think it consistently,
Yeah.
and act like I act,
Yeah.
then we'd be doing some
Okay.
things that we're not doing nearly enough of now.
That's right, because the money ain't going where it's supposed to.
I agree with that, and we got to make sure. We got an election coming up.
Yeah, I'm voting for you again. You going in?
Well, thank you so much, but we also got to put in some other people.
Yeah.
And hopefully put in some people who think the same way that I do.
Listen, I love a library like the next person. Don't get me wrong. I love to read books because books is knowledge, and knowledge is power.
All right.
Right?
Yes, indeed.
Okay, let's talk one more time about Mr. Obama. Could have donated some of that library money for the biggest homeless shelter in the United States. Now, I voted for him 2 times.
You know, it would have been great if he would have said, you know, I think I'm going to make my library some affordable housing.
Absolutely.
It would have been a novel idea. Of course, it would have been non-traditional.
It would have been something.
But
they don't want to give back, Danny Davis.
It would have been different. And
he had all the power. Well, now we're stuck with Tweety Bird. And what the hell are we going to do with him? Everywhere he go ain't nothing but trouble.
Well, he's doing a lot of tweeting.
Wait a minute. I ain't seen his wife on that TV for 2 months.
Well, he's no longer the president, and so...
Nothing. He Tweety Bird.
The news people aren't, you know, they're the ones that determine what's shown.
Listen, he tell everybody it's fake news, but I got news for him. He the one that's fake.
All right, well, I tell you, I think there are a lot of people wishing we had Obama back.
Well, somebody put you in there. Do something.
All right.
Okay, this is a beautiful country.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
And send me my T-shirt. Where my T-shirt you said you're going to send me?
I will do it.
And I want all the camera people to sign it.
All right.
And I'll call you tomorrow. Have a blessed day, all you guys. Be safe and be warm.
Thank you so much, and we're going to try.
I get that homeless center. Come on.
All right. You know, I think if we could build, and there's conversation about building and building. You know, the poor have always been a part of our world. And there are some of us who care more about the poor than others do. There are some of us who wouldn't mind giving a little bit more of whatever it is that we've got to create the opportunity and the resources to help those who don't have much. But it really takes a lot of us doing the same thing, and it takes people voting. You know, every person in this country should make certain that every time there is an election, that they find somebody that they can vote for that they believe is going to try to do some of the things that they want done. In a democracy, no dictator decides everything. No few people should be able to decide everything. But if we have everybody in there pushing and pulling and screaming and kicking and trying to get their way, they may not get exactly what they're looking for, but they sure will get more than they had. So let's make the new year a year of total involvement, total engagement, total trying to make it happen, trying to get it done. And if we do that, I guarantee you that we may not get everything that we want, but I do believe that we will get more than what we had. And so we still got a little shot of time. And if you're out there and you want to tell us what you think that the new year is going to bring for you, or what you want it to bring, call us at 312-738-1060, and let's let other people hear what you're thinking. I know that we're going to have a fight on our hands during 2018, because I believe that there's going to be an effort, and I don't think I gave the address, January the 13th, from 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock, we are having our annual winter fair. And if your gas is off and you're having trouble with your gas and lights, we're going to be at the Mark T. Skinner School at 1260 West Adams. And if you come, bring proof of your income for all household members, a copy of your most recent heat and electric bill if you pay for your home energy, proof of your Social Security numbers of all household members, hard copy of Social Security cards. If members of your household receive TANF, you must bring their medical eligibility card. Applicants that have their utilities included in the rent must bring proof of rental agreement stating monthly rental amount and utilities are included, and they need to have your landlord contact information. So come, bring all of this information, and someone will be able, hopefully, to help you get your gas turned back on. That's going to be Saturday, January the 13th, 10 o'clock to 1, at the Skinner Classical School, 1260 West Adams. Caller, are you there? Yes, caller, go right ahead.
Yes, hi. My concern is LeClaire Courts. It was torn down at least 6 years or more ago, and nobody has said anything about having it restored. I made several phone calls, but I can't get anyone to call me back. So what I'm actually trying to do is bring in 2018 with housing for people that was removed from LeClaire Courts so many years ago.
Have you called the Chicago Housing Authority and asked them what they plan to do about LeClaire Courts that was torn down? And is there going to be replacement housing in that area?
Well, the thing is, what has happened, I have not received any calls back from few people. I'm not going to mention their name at this time, but they have not returned my call. I've called them, and I know that they're in control. We did have a president that actually passed away. That was the president of the local advisory council of LeClaire Courts. But nobody has said anything. Even our alderman, he said he don't know nothing. He'll let me know. I'm in 22nd Ward.
Let me tell you what I will do. That's not my area.
Right.
But that's all right. Call me Tuesday, 773-533-7520, and I will call the Chicago Housing Authority and ask them what their plans are relative to the individuals who lived in LeClaire Courts. I'm familiar with the area. As a matter of fact, one of the gentlemen that I grew up with actually has a church out in that area, Reverend F.W. Bryant. We come from the same little town in Arkansas.
Okay.
And I will try and find out from the Chicago Housing Authority what the plans are for the area, but most importantly, for the people who lived in LeClaire Court. And I will try to get that information for you.
Well, I really would appreciate it, because I really just think that what they're trying to do is actually have people to move in these other communities, and they're becoming accolade in those communities, and they're staying there, and they're not actually like, okay, we're not coming back to LeClaire because it's been so long. They call us every month, ask us, are we going to stay there? Do we want to live there? And if we don't, then they'll take the whatever it is, a right to return away, and let us go wherever else I guess we say we want to. So this is the only thing I have to say. I am going to call you tomorrow. My thing is, if you are not going to give us our homes back, then what you're doing is you're actually waiting time so you don't have to build anything for the people that live there. You're building for new people to come into the community.
All right.
And I think that is so wrong.
You still have your voucher, right? And
yes.
Okay. Well, we will see if we can't get, because there's a lot of movement and lots of people have moved out of Chicago, and they're continuing to move out of Chicago. And like the first caller mentioned, there are homeless people because we don't have the low or the affordable housing for low-income people. And I'm noticing that much of the housing that's being built, they are kind of high-end condominiums near downtown. And if you're not earning a certain amount of money, you can't afford to live there. So I will try to help get to the bottom of this for you.
Well, honey, I could be sitting right there with you while you get to the bottom, because this makes no sense. They came and moved us out in 30 days.
All right. Plus, we have to keep fighting. Every year, we have big arguments about how much money the federal government is going to provide for public housing. And of course, that started in 1937 when the Public Housing Act was passed, with the idea that everybody in our country should have access to decent housing, a decent place to live. So we'll work with you on it.
Okay, well, I will be willing to get any type of assistance that I can, because I can't get anything that I really need to get. I can't get a
Let me ask, do you know Francine Washington?
I called her twice. She has not called me
She
back.
hasn't called you back too? Well,
no.
We'll try to get the information for you.
Right. I mean, maybe she don't want, maybe she's not intentionally not calling me back.
I just maybe don't know the answer.
Right. When this woman passed away, when our president passed away, she came to the services. She reached out. She gave me her card. I called her 3 times. Never called me back. I left message. Never called me back. So
well, we've had it different times.
Out of their hand, I need to find out what I can do for myself, because I don't really need anybody to represent me. I can represent myself.
All right. Well, I tell you, you've had some good. I knew Miss Hortensia Randolph and worked with her. Miss DeVera Beverly and worked with her, Miss Mamie Bone and worked with her. So, and a great commissioner of the CHA is a great minister, a tremendous preacher. But we'll try to get that information for you.
Well, I will call you. You said call you Monday?
Yeah, I guess it's Tuesday.
No, Monday will be the New Year. So
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
You're right.
And then I'll tell you who I am when I call you Tuesday.
All right, and I'll
Let's
call
make sure
Dr.
nobody don't take a
Mildred
message.
Harris, the person I was also thinking of. I know Dr. Mildred Harris is on the CHA board, and she's a great advocate for residents and for. We'll find out for you.
Okay. Well, I'd like to be around when you find out, so I'll get the first hand. Okay.
Okay.
I
All
appreciate
right.
it, and thank you so much, Congressman.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
All right. We appreciate that call, and we appreciate all calls and any calls. And please, if you've got information and you've got questions and you're trying to find out something, and there's something going on that you're just not sure about and want to know, please, if we can't answer it, we'll try and find the answer for you. I still look forward to 2018, and I know it's going to be a tough year. It's going to be a tough year because this year is going out. We just passed a new tax bill that many people don't like. I don't like. I didn't vote for it. I voted against it. That's going to make it difficult for some people. Some people are going to do all right with it because it's going to help those at the higher end of things. People at the high end will do all right. Those at the low end will not do as well and won't do all right. So we got to keep struggling. We got to keep fighting. We got to keep moving along. We got to kind of lay off some of the excitement of the new year and don't drink too much whiskey and too much wine and too much beer. As a matter of fact, I don't think I will have a single drop. And I do have a great big bottle of Jack Daniels sitting on my kitchen table that somebody gave me. They just brought it. It's sitting there. And I think it's not open yet. And I think when New Year's come and go, it still won't be open because I don't think I'll be drinking it. But, you know, they say just a little bit sometimes for stomach's sake and stuff like that don't hurt you. But, you know, it just happened. I mean, there are a lot of families that different people in my immediate family. I got one brother who is a beer drinker, but he doesn't drink to excess. And I have one sister who kind of, whatever it is, I think she might do a little bit of a lot of it. But the others, you know, I remember that we had a friend who would always come to our house on Christmas, and he would bring a half pint of old granddad to my mother, and she would use it, and she'd put camphor and stuff in there, and she'd rub our head and stuff whenever we would say we were sick. And my father didn't drink either. I don't think I've ever known my father to drink a shot of whiskey. I do remember one time he went to the casino. We were driving to Arkansas. We went past Tunica. We were going to a funeral. And so we had made it up. My brother was driving. We said, look, we are not going to stop at this casino. And, I went to sleep and woke up, and we were in Tunica. And I said, I thought we said, so my brother said, the car just came here by itself. Say these lights and all those things was just so appealing until the car just came here. And so somebody said, well, at least we may as well go in and see what it's like. And so my father say, it does look kind of interesting in there. Say, I think I'll go in too. And so we were snared by the bright lights of Tunica. And we remember that area in Tunica because we used to drive through there before the casinos, and they had some of the most beautiful cotton fields that had lots of cotton ready if the season was ripe to be picked. But things change, and they continue to change, and they keep changing. So give us a call and join in. We're talking about what we hope for America in 2018. Caller, go right ahead.
Yes, Congressman, and it's a great day to be here on God's green earth.
It is indeed. It is indeed.
Now, I'm going to go a little farther beyond N18, but we know there will be a change in the Senate race and the Congress. We know we will get more Democrats in this time.
We hope so.
I ain't no hope so. I guarantee you, just like I know tomorrow, Saturday, that will happen. And let me tell you another thing. I know there will be another president and his term is up. Now, the question I want to ask you, would the next president come, and I wouldn't care who it is, as long as we get the other one out, and a Democrat, if he could change some of the things that Donald Duck had made, is it possible, like the income tax? Can he repeal that, have another one, and going all into the things that President Obama had? He don't like anything what Obama did. So can he get rid of some of the stuff that Donald Duck have done?
Let me tell you, it's very difficult to change laws. I'm saying the Republicans have been trying to get rid of Obamacare, as they call it, or the Affordable Care Act, ever since it was passed. And they have not been able to do so yet. They've gotten some changes and they've gotten some things, but in terms of, there are so many people who now make use of the law. And there are so many people who know that it has been beneficial to them and helpful to them until the change hasn't occurred. Now, things that are executive order, I mean, those are laws, but executive orders, one executive can change or nullify what another executive did. For example, if Obama issued an executive order that Trump does not like, when Trump comes in, he can issue a different executive order.
I got you now. I got it.
Yeah, it reminds me of a little joke my father used to tell. I mean, we grew up as farmers, so many of the jokes they told were about farming. And so my father claimed that there were two fellas who were good friends, and they both had farms. But one guy sort of always envied and wanted the other guy's farm. So he told him one day, look, why don't we go home tonight and dream? And whatever we dream, we'll let it come true. And so The one guy went home and didn't have no dream. So they met up the next day, and the other guy says, look, so what did you dream? He said, well, I didn't dream. He said, well, let me tell you what I dreamt. He says, I dreamed that your farm was my farm, and that your wife was going to be my wife's maid for the rest of our lives. And so the fellow, being an honorable man, went home, and he was looking dejected, and his wife asked him, said, well, what's wrong? He said, well, you know, me and Charlie agreed that we were going to have a dream, and whatever we dreamt, we was going to let it come true. And he told me he dreamed that you was his wife's maid, and that our farm was his farm, and I had to work for him the rest of my life. And she said, well, what did you dream? He said, well, I didn't dream nothing. She said, here, take your clothes off and get in bed. So now close your eyes. Say, I'm going to give you a dream.
Right.
I want you to go back tomorrow and tell him that you dreamed that he had to give you your farm back, that his wife was going to be my maid, and you all was going to work for us the rest of your lives. And then I want you to tell him that, damn it, you dreamt that he couldn't dream no more.
Well, you know what? I think everyone should dream. You know, the whole life, everything that's in existence, it comes to a dream. So again, I wish everyone have a dream that everyone must vote. We need voting, and that's the way to do the system. Congressman, I want to wish you a happy holiday, a safe holiday, and thanks for taking the call. And always we look for you every Friday. You take care now.
Thank you so much, and you and your family have a wonderful New Year's. And those of us who have children, let's teach our children to dream. Let's teach them to think way beyond where they are and to believe in themselves. Caller, are you there? Yes, caller, go right ahead.
Yes, good evening.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of reminisce on some of those old traditional meals, fixings that you were talking about. Back in the day, my dad, he used to always have a big bottle of Morgan David wine on the table. But along with that, my mom used to always have, cornbread and buttermilk.
Lord
is that
have
something
mercy.
that's as big of a tradition now as it used to be, or is that kind of something that just would pass along with the older generation?
Now let me tell you, I actually buy buttermilk. I can't find it all the time when I go to the supermarket, but I have one little place in Washington that I go. And usually when I buy 2 quarts. But I never have any cornbread to go with it because I'd have to cook that, and I really don't have the time. But I never shall forget, the preacher came to our house one time, and it was a tradition that, preachers went from different towns to preach. And so my parents were going to town, so they said, if the preacher gets here before we get back, so you all feed him. So the preacher came. His name was Reverend Pulliam. We said, Reverend Pulliam, say, you want something to eat? And he said, well, I don't mind if I do. So we said, what you want? He said, well, whatever you children are eating is good enough for me. We was eating milk and bread. Cornbread and buttermilk. So we got him a bowl, crumbled up some bread, poured some milk over it, brought it to him. And when my mother got back home, they said, did you feed the pastor? We said, yeah, we fed him. She said, well, I don't see where nobody cooked anything. He said whatever we was eating was good enough for him, and we was eating cornbread and buttermilk, and we fixed him some. And my mother said, now I know you all ain't crumbled up no bread with your hands and put it in a bowl and gave it to the pastor. I said, well, he said whatever we was eating was good enough for him, and that's what we gave him. So he was an understanding pastor. But yeah, we had a tradition of always feeding pastors. And you know, my family was always people who didn't mind, but we always gave visitors our best. I mean, that's a tradition I'm sure that many people don't have. But my parents always gave visitors. We actually had a room in our house called the company room. And that room was always made up and it was always laid out. And there was a big photograph of my grandmother on the wall. And it was our company room. And so whenever somebody came to visit, we let them sleep in the company room. And so I guess, and we liked that Hallmark advertising. You know, Hallmark card says when you care enough to give the very best. And you know, I'm really
The
kind
story, we call that the breaking bread story.
of. So I'm
Very
kind of
good. Very
glad that
good.
I was raised that way. You know, and so I don't have a problem doing things for others because that's just kind of the way my parents raised us. And if you had somebody who was going to come and stay all night with you, you got a chance to sleep in the company room. And so they're both gone. But I thank God for them. And I thank God for the kind of training and the kind of values that they tried to instill in us. I actually feel good when I can do something for somebody else. Caller, are you there? Please go right ahead.
Hi, I would like to know your concerns about the heroin epidemic and what we can do with the younger generation now, because I have real concerns.
Well, let me tell you, it is a terrible, there's nothing more devastating, I don't think, than substance abuse. And there are so many people who are hooked and can't get off. And if we can prevent them from ever getting to the point where they need something to help them cope, more attention is being given to it. We do have a task force that's at work. State Representative LaShawn Ford and State Representative Arthur Turner Jr. and I in our city, but we're also part of a larger task group that's been working. And one of my New Year's resolutions is that I'm going to interact more this year with people who are in recovery and with people to try and prevent them from becoming addicted and to try to get more resources for recovering people by training I happen to be a psychologist, and so behavior has always been a big interest of mine at a personal level. And so I thank you for raising that question, and I pledge to be more engaged with trying to head off and do something about the opioid crisis that we are facing. And I thank you for raising that as an issue. You're there? You're gone? Well, thank you very much. I want to thank all of our callers. Let me tell you, it's been a very informative and exciting evening for me. I want to wish everybody a happy new year. And don't be afraid to dream. Because if you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster, and yet treat those two impostors just the same, so dream. Dream, dream, and believe that 2018 is going to be the best year we've ever seen. I hope to see you next week. Have a wonderful, wonderful new year.